Hello everyone, welcome to my balcony garden. Today is a houseplant video. We are doing a video all about Christmas cactus care. We're in November now, so it's actually finally turning cold where I am. And the videos I'm going to be doing from now on are probably going to be mostly houseplant videos because there's not much going on in the balcony. I've just got the bulbs doing their thing. I've got my bedding plants looking really nice and pretty in the big planter. So yeah, but basically most of the videos are now going to be indoor ones. So we're going to start with Christmas cactus. We're going to look at watering, light, soil, all the things basically to keep any houseplant alive and also to keep your Christmas cactus growing and blooming year after year. They are a very low maintenance plant. I love them. Do you know what? It was one of those things. I remember when I was younger, I would go, any house I would go to, there was a Christmas cactus, and I just don't know, I wasn't a fan. I found them a bit boring. Now, however, I'm a fan. Look, we're holding hands. Okay, so the first thing that I say in all my videos about any kind of plant care is to find out the plant's country of origin. It's going to tell you everything you need to know on how to care for this plant. Our Christmas cactus is actually native to the tropical rainforests of Brazil. How cool is that? So all you have to do is close your eyes. Imagine you're in a Brazilian rainforest. So it's going to be loud. I mean, that's got nothing to do with anything, but there's going to be high humidity. It's going to be dappled sunlight. There'll be lots of moisture everywhere. So we're already starting to build a picture of what our Christmas cactus plant needs. However, there's another part to this which is so interesting. I didn't know this until I was going to do this video. Christmas cacti are a species of forest epiphytic cacti. So forest, again, I mean, it's the tropical rainforest, we've already talked about that, but epiphytic means that this plant will grow on top of a surface. So it's not going to be growing in the soil. If you can imagine something like a phalaenopsis, if you have any phalaenopsis at home, you know that the growing medium is always this bark, so it's super free draining, because like the Christmas cacti and the phalaenopsis, they attach themselves to a surface, so maybe like a crevice between rocks. You also see them a lot on trees, like between branches in trees high up in the canopy normally, so they can receive more light. They don't want to have full light, but they do need light. So they attach themselves that way, but the roots are never sitting in water, so they're just going to be absorbing moisture from the air around them. So that is giving us even more information, but we're going to go into that into more detail in a minute. I just want to talk about the form of the plant. So they have these beautiful, really unique kind of leaf segments that join together. They kind of click together, and then they're flat as well. And at the end of the stem here is the bud. Let me try and find a better bud. Here we go. There's one that's a bit more advanced. So, ooh, look at you. So we've got the beautiful stem here coming down, leaves. It's branched here, and then at the end we've got the bud. And interestingly, look, you can see the roots here. And if we just separated those two, we'd be able to get a new plant, and I'll go into that more detail in that in a minute. The flowers, when they do eventually emerge, are these beautiful tubular flowers. They can stay on the plants for months as well, as providing that you give them the right amount of water and maybe also fertilize them with a flowering, like a blooming fertilizer. This is going to help too. The Christmas cactus plant is triggered into flowering when the hours of daylight becomes reduced, the nights become longer, and the temperatures begin to drop as well. So you can imagine in autumn and winter, the plants are starting to sense this. They have a special mechanism inside of their leaves that sense the different, or the changing temperatures and the changing light. And this is going to trigger them to start producing buds. This is what we call a short day plant. So any kind of short day plant that is triggered into flowering when the days are shorter, this is one of them. So as the name suggests, Christmas cactus flowers around Christmas time. This is because of the day length as well, as I mentioned. There are also two other species that are similar to Christmas cactus. So we've got Thanksgiving cactus and Easter cactus. These two other species flower at the time that their name would suggest. There's sometimes a bit of trouble differentiating between Christmas and Thanksgiving cacti. To be honest, the care is basically the same. Don't worry too much about it. The name cactus is, however, somewhat misleading. Some people think it's a cactus, other people think it's a succulent. To be honest, I tend to treat mine more as a succulent than I do a cactus. But this is a care video, it's not about taxonomy, so let's keep going. So let's talk about pots and soil. So absolutely, when we are potting our Christmas cactus into a new pot, or if you're buying it, make sure that the pot has drainage holes. It's an epiphyte, as we talked about before, so it's going to need to be in free draining soil, and there's going to need to be air around the roots. So a pot with hole is going to help with this. And when you are using any kind of potting mix, make sure that it is very free draining. A succulent, a good quality succulent potting mix is perfect. So when it comes to watering, make sure that you keep the soil moist, but definitely never saturated. If you're a bit confused about what to do, how to water it, I would water less than more. Too much moisture can lead to root rot for our Christmas cactus plants. So I would maybe water every 2 weeks, it depends how warm your home is, to see how, if your soil is dry or not. Just stick a finger in there, and the top, oh, this one could definitely do with the water. Stick the, like the first inch or 2 inches below, and if that's dry, give it a water. Give it a nice big soak. Make sure it's never sitting in water. If you water too little, especially during blooming, you're going to run the risk of getting something called blossom drop, basically when the flowers are just like, no, can't be bothered anymore, and then they just fall off. But the key is basically to never have the plant ever sitting in water. In terms of light, a really bright east-facing window is perfect. Anywhere where they're going to receive lots of indirect light. The leaves will burn or can burn if they have to sit anywhere where there is direct sun. I have mine in my bathroom. They're so happy there. I have them sitting on a little bench underneath the window directly. And of course, there's the high humidity from the shower, and they're all, they're amongst all the other plants. And I feel like they kind of feel at home there, among all the other plants, and it's like a bit of a green, foresty type thing going on there. So yeah, they seem happy. I mean, I don't know. Ideal temperatures are around 21 degrees Celsius in the day, and evening around 15 to 18 degrees Celsius. To be honest, it's just like most of the tropical plants I have anyway, nothing out of the ordinary. But I think when it comes to flowering, if you want your plants to flower, you do need to put them in an area where they're going to experience that cooler temperatures. Otherwise, they're not going to be triggered into putting down buds, and then eventually flowering. When it comes to propagation and pruning, I've kind of put these two together because you're basically, when you do one, you do the other, sort of. It's so easy. Every flat segment here is a new plant. So all you have to do, you can actually see, all you have to do is take a segment of the stem off. You can either nip it off with your finger or snip it with a pair of sterilised scissors or secateurs. Allow it to then dry overnight, this part here. It's going to need to callus a bit. And then you can just pot it straight into, again, that succulent potting mix. Pop it in there, half submerge it, make sure that this point here, the growing point, or where the roots are, make sure that that's in contact with the soil. Keep the soil nice and moist, and then very quickly you're going to see roots, and this is going to be a brand new plant. So you can see here, so this is one leaf segment here, and then it begins to branch. So for example, if you take a cutting here, this is going to happen again, so it's going to branch like this. And so that's pruning is essentially. So you're cutting the flower back in order for it to grow bigger and to grow kind of more bushy. And obviously, if we have more stems and more leaves on the Christmas cactus, then hopefully we're going to have more flowers too. You can prune sort of beginning of spring, and just as the plant is sort of waking up from its semi-dormancy, and it will explode into life. And when it comes to feeding, so again, like any other of my houseplants, I fertilise this from sort of March, April to October. I do that every 2 weeks with a good quality houseplant liquid fertiliser. And when it comes to autumn and winter, I reduce that down to fertilising once a month. You can either continue with that same houseplant fertiliser, or you can switch up to a fertiliser that is rich in phosphorus, so it's more designed to help with blooming, because phosphorus, as we know, is really good for flower development and also blooming. In terms of pests and diseases, again, there's not much really that happens to this plant. I mean, you do need to think about root rot, as I've already mentioned, and they can sometimes get mealybugs. You can either remove them by hand or you can spray them, and that, I think, is that. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video all about Christmas cactus care. Apologies for, it's kind of grainy, the filming, because it's getting dark. Hopefully the information is enough for you to enjoy the video. I hope you're all doing well, staying safe and well. I send you all my good wishes, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.